You couldn't ask for a more beautiful night for baseball in downtown Cincinnati. Autumn right around the corner. And we're down to the final week of this 2013 season. The New York Mets in town for the first of three. The Reds winning 2 of 3 over the Pirates in Pittsburgh over the weekend. The Nationals will play in St. Louis, where the Cardinals have a 2-game lead. The Pirates will be at Wrigley Field in Chicago. And hi again, everybody, alongside the Cowboy, Jeff Brantley. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds Baseball right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Here we go. Here we go. And here we go with Johnny Cueto's second start since coming back.
Tom, he was so good against the Astros, but it goes past the numbers. When you watch Johnny in this ball game, it's not just about the 5 innings. It's not the 82 pitches. It's not even the shutout innings. It was the velocity on the fastball, the snap on the breaking ball, and the good changeup. He had everything working. And let's face it, he's pitching for a spot on the roster, the postseason roster right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, if he's on the postseason roster and the Reds can get some games here at home, this is where you want him. Cowboy, look at these numbers in hitter-friendly Great American Ballpark.
I don't know that you could ask for a better home field advantage than having Johnny Cueto with those numbers on the mound.
Ryan Hannigan, his catcher tonight, excited about seeing Johnny in his second start.
First start, he looked great. All his pitches were working. He had good command. You know, he looked like the Johnny of old, really. I didn't see any letdown from the time off. He looked pretty solid. You know, obviously we're trying to get a little deeper into the game, but you know, trying to be just as efficient as we were last time. Use all his pitches and just execute when he gets the opportunity. Get ahead in counts and. You know, try not to fall into patterns. But I mean, we always do that anyway, and you know, he looks good to me.
Of course, Cueto has been the ace for the Reds for a number of years now. The guy who held that mantra for a long time. Aaron Harang starts for the Mets.
You know, he pitched very well against the Reds in this ballpark when Seattle was in town. He's got a different uni on tonight, but it's the same man and the same opponent.
Boy, this is fun. After all the years of futility for the Reds here, now trying to get to the playoffs for the 3rd time in the last 4 years. And they've been jumping on the opposition early. We're going to talk about that when we come back, a trend they would love to continue in Game 1 of this series tonight.
It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Beautiful, beautiful night. Our weather the rest of the night brought to you by Tri-State Orthopedics. And here's our main man from WKRC, Tim Hedrick.
I'm getting psyched. Every night's a playoff game. I've been working out. Billy Hamilton. I'm going to run around the building, run around the whole building. Woo! Billy's making me fast. Looks like a nice night for the ball game. 67 to start, down to 60 for the final out. Get them on, get them over, get them in. Enjoy the game on Fox Sports Ohio.
Tim's been moving like Billy Hamilton for a long time. How about Jay Bruce? He's on quite a roll.
Well, you talk about moving. He is moving them in. He was on fire in Houston. Carried that right on into Pittsburgh. The big bases loaded double right out of the gate. Got the Reds on top, and they never looked back.
And that's something the Reds have been doing quite a bit of here lately. And scoring in the opening inning. They had the 5 yesterday, giving them this 102 on the year, and that is second only to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim for most first inning runs among all teams in Major League Baseball, and they've done it in 5 straight games scoring. First time since April of 2008. Question is, can they keep that going here tonight against Aaron Harang? The final 6 of 2013. The Mets followed by the Pirates. Game 1 coming up next. Selling truck in America, 36 straight years by Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. If you're feeling good, it's Skyline time. Downtown Cincinnati along the banks of the mighty Ohio. A picture-perfect weather night, the Reds and the Mets Getting together here at Great American Ballpark, we take a look at Terry Collins' starting lineup for the opening game of this series. Eric Young in left field. Daniel Murphy, the second baseman. David Wright, healthy again, is homered in each of his first 2 games back off the DL. Lucas Duda, Brown, Lagares in center field. Darno behind the plate. Quintanilla, the shortstop. And a longtime Red, Aaron Harang, on the mound, making his 3rd start as a Met, his 23rd start overall. And the big news tonight, 2nd start for Johnny Cueto.
Johnny will be looking at somewhere around the 100 pitch mark. He got into the 80s in Houston. It was not the goal to get to 80, but because of an extended 5th inning, that's where he ended up. Recovered without any issue. Let's hope tonight much of the same.
Well, obviously, you look up and down this New York Met batting order, and it certainly doesn't take even a hardcore baseball fan to realize we know anybody can hurt you. But there really is one primary guy you have to avoid doing major damage in this series, and that, of course, is David Wright. Ball 1, a breaking ball high to Eric Young, and we are underway. 248 batter. But another guy you'd love to keep off base. He does have 40 steals in 50 attempts so far this season. It's a ball and a strike. Young finally getting a chance to play every day in the big leagues and has done a nice job for the Mets out in left field. 1-2.
You can see by that swing there, Tom, they are really working, they being the Mets, on trying to get Eric Young hit the ball on the ground the other way and use those wheels he's got.
Mets picked up Eric Young from Colorado in the middle of June for a young right-handed pitcher. That went up and away. He wasn't getting much playing time at all with the Rockies. Only had 165 at bats over a little more than 2.5, nearly 3 months. And you see he's always had good numbers for whatever reason against Reds pitching in his career. 2-2. Got him swinging to start the night.
Well, that is a pitch that Cueto has had. Made all the difference in the world in Houston. It's really turned his whole career around, and that is the changeup. Mario Soto, thank you very much.
Now Daniel Murphy, the second baseman, having the best season of his career. 284 batter, 12 home runs, 73 runs batted in for Murphy. A guy they tried and tried and tried to find a spot defensively for. He's always been able to swing the bat, but trying to find a position for him was quite a task for a number of years, and he's landed at second. And while certainly will never challenge Brandon Phillips for a Gold Glove, they like that bat in the lineup. Speaking of Phillips, he'll handle that bouncer. 2 gone. Let's take a look at the Reds on defense tonight. Back with their regular lineup, if you will. Ludwig, Choo, and Bruce. Choo back in a lineup after missing Saturday and Sunday after injuring his thumb, diving into first base on Friday night. Frazier and Votto, Cozart and Phillips on the corners and up the middle, and hanging aside.
Tom, you talked about David Wright, and he shows up in the first inning of every ball game. 2 home runs in 2 games played right off the disabled list. How do you come out swinging like that?
And there's a strike. He hit a home run in 3 consecutive games earlier this year, May 1st through the 5th. Once in his career, going back to 2007, he hit a home run in 4 straight games. Wright, the undisputed leader of this New York Mets team, and you see he just came off the DL a couple of days ago and coming out red hot.
You see already the indications that you made, Tom. Changeup, breaking ball after getting ahead with a strike from Cueto. He's not going to give in to David Wright and just give him a cookie that he can drive out of the ballpark if he can help it. Good low fastball on that pitch before. Now Cueto wants to put him away here.
Full count.
One thing that we saw in Houston from Johnny that really surprised a lot of folks, I know it surprised me, was his command early in that ball game. He was on the corners with everything.
Payoff pitch coming to David Wright, and it's off the outside edge, and that's a 2-out walk.
And ultimately for David Wright, Tom, that's how things are going to be until they get someone in the lineup to hit behind him with some authority. They hoped it would be Ike Davis early. Oh, what a rough time that young man had.
Second year in a row. Of course, got off to the terrible start last year, was hurt again, and when he came back, actually swung the bat very well. And he thought, okay, well, maybe that carries into this year. Didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
And now he's back on the DL, hurt again. And so it's Lucas Duda, who has unbelievable power. I mean, this guy catches one, he's going to hit it a very long way. Problem for him has been catching one. 229 batter. Oh, and 1 to Duda, and there's strike 2.
You see where Cueto is right now. Down right at the kneecaps with every pitch. First pitch changeup. Here's a good fastball. Tough to decipher any kind of speed when the ball is that low in the strike zone.
The first time Johnny Cueto went on the disabled list this year, you may remember he had to leave a game on the 13th of April in Pittsburgh. A little more than a month later, his first start back was against these New York Mets. 90 pitches, 5 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, struck out 8, but he walked 4. He obviously didn't have the command that first time back. Cueto in his career, it got off to a woeful start against the Mets going back to 2008. As there you get a look at a pitch that's called off the outside corner. His first 3 starts against him, he gave up 6, 6, and 4. But ever since then, he's been mighty good. And Brandon will come in and make the play, and this will be all for the Mets in the opening inning. So here come the Reds. They scored in the first in 5 straight games. Here's lineup tonight. Nice to see Choo back in the lineup in center field. Brandon Phillips will bat second. Joey Votto is at first. Ludwig, Bruce, and Frazier in the middle. Cozart, Hannigan, and Cueto the latter third. Of course, Choo trying to dive in on Friday night in that game-tying 9th inning. Injured his thumb. A thumb, by the way, he had surgery on, you may remember, a number of years ago. But thankfully, it kept getting better and better every day. And Choo's ready to roll tonight.
You see the dive into first base, and Choo will tell you, I didn't want to dive into first base. I tell other players don't do that. It's dangerous. But my body did it anyway. Instincts. And you could see him checking out the thumb. I think it scared him as much as anything, Tom.
Of course, Billy Hamilton did okay filling in for Mr. Choo yesterday.
He's done okay filling in every way, fashion, and form.
Man, I love those T-shirts we saw during Reds Live that they're selling now in the Reds team shop and all over the ballpark. I'm sure they're going to be worn by everybody in the city. I can tell you right now, I'm going to get one for my kids. Run, Billy, run. Love it.
It's going to have a lightning bolt across that pretty soon.
1-2 to Choo.
And you wonder, with the thumb injury, is that going to bother the top hand and affect the swing path of Shin-Son Choo? That's the big issue I think the Reds will be looking at, especially early in this ball game. Left hand is the top hand.
That ball in the air and tailing to Young for the first out here in the bottom of the first inning. Aaron Harang back on familiar turf. For so many years, it was pretty much All the Reds had was Aaron Harang, and he delivered some mighty fine years wearing the Reds uniform.
He really did, Tom. Both he and Bronson Arroyo for a while were about as good of a 1-2 punch as you could ask for.
Arroyo has won more games in this ballpark than any pitcher. Aaron Harang has won the second most games. Johnny Cueto, the third most. That's all-time wins at Great American Ballpark. Out on a play by Brandon Phillips for strike one.
And I think for the Reds batters, especially after playing behind Aaron for so many years, you understand he's going to stay down and away from every batter. Very rarely comes in. He's going to change speeds, but more times than not, it's the fastball down and away, and you've got to be prepared to hit it.
That one back into center field. And it's a one-out single for Brandon Phillips. Take a look at the Mets on defense. So many players they brought up from the minor leagues. Lagares in center field. They say he can really go get the baseball, Cowboy.
Tremendous speed and outstanding arm. What they're looking for from Lagares, as well as Duda, Brown, Young. I mean, you can mention them all. They want to see what this club can put together offensively. These young players, they've been fine on the defensive side. They need offense, and they need it big time.
You know, we talk all the time and use the adage, it's not always who you play, but when you play them. And, you know, obviously this is not going to be a postseason trip for the Mets. They're not going to finish over 500 this year. But having said all that, right now they are playing very, very well. They swept the Phillies over the weekend. They've won 7 of their last 10 games.
Playing a heck of a lot better than what we saw them in New York earlier when the Reds swept that series. A little bit different brand of baseball right now for the Mets. They're playing a lot more small ball, trying to get runners on, move them along, and then the big bang from David Wright.
Of course, Joey Votto had the game-winning home run down the left field line in Pittsburgh on Friday night.
That ball got over the wall by a hair. It was a bullet. First, when he hit it, I thought it was going to slice foul, and it just stayed fair and crept right over the wall.
Well, the emotion we saw from this Reds team, especially in that 9th inning, is something we have so infrequently seen from this club, even in the best of times over the last 4 years. A pair of National League Central Division titles spanning the last 3 seasons, and now knocking on the door of a 3rd trip to the playoffs in the last 4 years. And a number, just fouled.
Change up from Aaron Harang, and he had Joey well out in front of that one.
Now, I mentioned the Pirates will be at Wrigley Field tonight. That'll get started in a little less than an hour, and the same holds true for the Cardinals there at home. But they're taking on a Washington Nationals team, which, of course, could officially be eliminated from the postseason tonight. The Reds and the Pirates both have a magic number of 2 over the Nationals, meaning the Reds win, a Nationals loss, likewise for the Pirates, and Washington would be eliminated. But Davey Johnson, the manager, of course, former Reds manager, has already gone on record as saying, hey, look, this Cardinal team was a team that eliminated us in heartbreak fashion, much like the Reds in the National League Division Series a year ago. We are going to St. Louis to win. Whether or not we're eliminated makes no difference.
Payback. And that's what you have to do at this point in the season. That's what the Mets will try to do to the Reds. They will try to spoil it as much as they can.
3-2, Brandon running, and it's inside, ball 4, and the Reds have a single and a walk in front of Brian Ludwig.
Travis d'Arnaud made a little mistake in judgment there. Even though that pitch was called a ball, you do not play judge and jury behind the plate. You catch the ball and fire to second base and let the umpire make the call as the ball is in the air. If that had been strike 3 on the call, Phillips would have coasted into second.
Ryan Ludwig playing in his 34th game of the season, his 33rd since being injured on opening day after that lengthy trip on the DL. A pair of home runs and 12 runs batted in. Had a pitch to hit right there and fouled it back. He has had tremendous success, has Ludwig, against Aaron Harang. 36 at bats, 14 hits, 3 home runs.
He had a good series in Pittsburgh. First 2 ball, he didn't play the final game, but the first 2 ball games he hit the ball very well.
But again, much like Choo's fill-in, his fill-in did all right yesterday too.
Yes, they did. Chris Heisey with 3 hits, part of that 5-run rally in the first.
Harang ahead at 0-2.
Harang straight over the top with that fastball, and when he stays down around the kneecaps, he can be very difficult to hit. Tough to center the baseball.
Two on and 1 out for Aaron Harang. Nothing into the count.
That is the book on Ludwig. Once you get ahead, climb the ladder, see if he'll chase the high fastball. But Harang didn't quite have enough on it to get him by him there. But Ludwig's plan right now, forget about the home run. It's all about up the middle, right center field gap, so he can stay on everything. It's all about base hits right now.
Try to get him to chase that pitch down and away that time. That's another area where they'll try to get Ludwig to take a hack at something well out of the strike zone. And no deal there. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
There are so few pitchers now, Tom, that command the inside part of the plate or even use the inside part of the plate anymore. So for Ludwig to say, I'm going to shoot the ball the other way, look from the middle to the outside part, it's a pretty good game plan.
High fly ball into right field, should be the second out of the inning. Brown waits, and it is, and the runner stay put. It's going to be up to Jay Bruce if the Reds are going to score a run in the first inning for what would be a 6th consecutive game.
Jay came to the plate with the bases loaded against Jeff Locke in the final game in Pittsburgh yesterday, and Locke was having a very difficult time throwing strikes, and Bruce went after the first pitch and laced it into the left center field gap. If he likes it, he's swinging.
Bruce leads the National League in extra base hits, among the league leaders in just about every other major category. In fact, his 206 runs batted in the last 2 seasons, the most among all National League batters. The only 5 ahead of him all play in the American League, led of course by the great Miguel Cabrera. You know, we know Bruce's numbers have been great. It really makes you wonder if it's a misprint when you stack up those numbers even against Miguel Cabrera, because Cabrera's numbers are just,
they're crazy.
They're unbelievable.
They are crazy.
2-0 on Jay Bruce. 3-0.
Harang is definitely not wanting to give Jay something that he can handle here. All 3 of those pitches have been off the plate away.
Don't see Bruce swing a lot. 3-0. But this time he does, and he taps it to the right side, and this will be the final out of the inning. A hit, 2 left. End of 1, no score. Yesterday, the Reds set a franchise record 1,249th strikeout of the season, which broke the all-time record that lasted all of 1 year. They now have 1,250 of them on the season, including the 1 strikeout tonight.
This has been a strikeout staff all the way from starting pitcher to obviously the closer in Chapman and everybody in between.
First pitch swinging is Andrew Brown. Chases a breaking ball away from him and rolls it right at Brandon. 1 pitch, 1 out. I mean, take a look at this. The Reds are the only team in Major League Baseball to have 6 pitchers with 100 or more strikeouts. And of course, they would have 7. Well, I guess really you look at Cingrani doesn't get to 120 were it not for the injury to Cueto.
Right.
So it would have been 6.
And the reason you have the 6 is because of your closer, Chapman. Most closers, Tom, you're not going to have 20, 30 more strikeouts than you have innings pitched. Now maybe 10 more. You just don't have enough opportunities.
Chapman has struck out those 107 batters in 61 2/3 innings.
I mean, that's silly strikeout numbers.
Laguerre's behind 0-2 and trying to get him to chase a fastball up. Johnny rocks, twists and turns. And off to the outside corner. There was talk he was going to, of course, eliminate that, thinking it may have something to do with the lat issues he has had going back to the Game 1 start in the division series last year. 3 times on the disabled list this year. But even watching the game against the Pittsburgh, kind of gets back into old habits, and it is what it is. In the air to Jay Bruce. This will be out number 2.
Well, I think Brian Price will tell you. I think Paul Lessard, head trainer. You look at the motion of Johnny Cueto and the turning and the twisting. That doesn't affect this area, which is where the injury was. If you had an injury that was caused by the turning and the opening too soon, which would be the problem with that kind of turn, Tom, it would be in the front of the shoulder, not in the back. I think it's just one of those type of issues that came up. He's got a funky motion. Everybody's looking for a reason.
Down the right field line, and Bruce will run out of room.
I mean, let's face it, throwing a baseball is a very unnatural motion. And you are going to have aches, injuries, soreness, those types of things. It's going to come, especially when you're putting 200 innings plus on an arm year in and year out.
We got to look at Brian Price here. Now, granted, he has a lot of talent to work with here. I mean, there's very little debate about that. As far as just talent is concerned in a starting rotation, you would be hard pressed to find any staff in Major League Baseball more talented than this group of Reds pitchers. But when you then bring in the entire situation, Cueto being hurt, all the changes in the bullpen, Marshall's injury, Broxton, among many, many others. As that one is a line into left field, that'll be a 2-out hit for Darno. But I mean, what an extraordinary job Brian Price has done since he became the pitching coach here in Cincinnati. I think we've all been so spoiled, Cowboy, over these last 3-4 years, where the Reds have been first or second. I mean, over a 4-year time frame as far as total team ERA in all of Major League Baseball, and we forget how bad. And that's not indicting the other pitching coaches, because the talent wasn't there on those teams. Right. But what this guy has done, Mac Jenkins has certainly helped in that cause.
I think that Brian excels in the mental development of any pitcher that he comes across. And when you add tremendous physical talent to mental process that he gives his pitchers, you can't, I mean, you expect excellence, and that's what he's getting. That's the most difficult part of pitching, is to change your mental outlook when you take the mound, or to improve it, adjust from one to the other. It's easy to do it physically, but to totally change your whole outlook on something that you've done your entire life. But yet it's not, Brian's not just telling them to do X, Y, and Z. He's explaining to them why they need to do it, how to go about doing it, and then giving them a process to get from A to B.
1-1 and Omar Quintanilla. And now ball and 2 strikes.
I think Brian Price would be good in any environment, even if it was unrelated to pitching, because of the way that he goes about teaching his guys what they need to do. He could stand in a boardroom and speak to different salesmen or different workers on just about anything and use his process to be successful.
You look over the last 2 years, and I mean, it is what, 5/100ths of a point. The Reds have the 3rd lowest earned run average among all teams in Major League Baseball. 3.31. The Braves and the Dodgers. Reds at 3.36.
And we're talking about a very hitter friendly ballpark that some would say one of the top hitter friendly ballparks in the game. That's where you play your 81 home games.
Strike 3 called, and that's all on a 93-mile-per-hour fastball from Cueto. A hit a man left. No score. Planters Nutrition Nut Mix. Make sure to get your Kroger meal deal during your next trip to Great American Ballpark. Reds batting in the bottom half of the 2nd inning. And a scoreless game. Todd Frazier, Zach Cozart, Ryan Hannigan against Aaron Harang. In 2003, Aaron Harang came over in a deal from the Oakland Athletics. Frazier bunted the ball, it hit him, and is it a foul ball? It is a foul ball.
That was a surprise. I don't think we've seen Frazier put down a bunt that was not a sacrifice all year. I was looking for that home run swing.
That ball is driven hard to the right center field gap. And it bounces against the wall, and rather than bunting his way on, it is a double the other way for Frazier.
7 of 8 games now for Frazier that he's hit in. You look at the numbers that Frazier has been able to put up lately, just as far as his base hits and RBIs, and Cozart, and you think to yourself, if the Reds can continue this kind of production from the bottom half of their order, my goodness, there will be some runs scored on an everyday basis.
Of course, the guy that's gotten plenty of big hits here over the last month and a half has been Zach Cozart. He has a hit in 6 consecutive games, including 3 2-hit games over the last 25 he's played in. Swing and a foul tip.
And he's as solid of a defensive shortstop as you can get in the big leagues. He covers all the territory, turns the double play, strong arm. And I think he's just now finding himself from an offensive standpoint.
I think you're right. I mean, you know, this guy has a legitimate chance with a good final week here to knock in, well, maybe 70 runs on the year, 30 doubles, only 2 away from reaching that number. And you're talking about a guy who for most of the first half of the season was batting in the 230s.
Right.
If not lower. Pop up here. Shallow center field. 1 out.
But you look at shortstop numbers, especially with the way this club is built. Cozart hits 260, drives in 70 runs. With his defensive prowess, I'll take that all day, every day.
Well, especially if you let the kid breathe a little bit down in the bottom part of the order for a whole season.
Yes.
I mean, you know, they had that intention.
But it just
This year,
hasn't
but the
worked
injury
out.
to Ludwig changed everything.
And last year, he was in between the leadoff spot and the second spot. And he's right into the big leagues, right into the fire of the order.
Now Ryan Hannigan at 195, 2 home runs and 21 batted in. And there's a base hit into center field. They're going to wave around. No, they're going to hold him up. Mark Berry at the last instant threw up those hands and stops Frazier after the single by Hannigan to put him on the corners.
And that goes back to notoriety of the center fielder Juan Lagares. The Reds have seen him throw not only a strong arm, but an aggressive move to the ball. Watch Lagares come after this ball. As soon as it comes off the bat, you can see him angling for his throw to the plate. And not a whole lot of tail to that throw. Throw right on the line.
Young man has 12 outfield assists, which is tied for the 3rd most in all the National League. So indeed, his reputation well known in a short amount of time. Well, coming up later in our game tonight, we'll have our Miller Time moment, brought to you as always by Miller Lite. Johnny Cueto looking for a Miller Time moment right now to get the Reds in front. Cueto normally pretty good at pushing that bunt to the right side.
Yes.
And the second baseman playing way back. A double play depth, and he pops it up into the air. Mercy. 1 out.
Not normally what you see from Cueto, and you don't want to make any excuses for him, especially in the bunting category, because as a pitcher, that's what you're supposed to be able to do. But sitting out as long as Cueto did, he bunted the bottom half of the ball rather than the top. And when you bunt the bottom, that's what you get. Pop up.
Shin-Son Choo flat out to the left fielder Eric Young. His first time up, he bats with runners on the corners and 2 out. Reds left 2 on in the first inning. They have 2 on here in the second of a scoreless game.
They really play Choo to pull on the infield, much more so than most teams. Got the second baseman Murphy pulled around to the right side, and shortstop playing up the middle, Quintanilla as well.
Runners on the corners, 2 out, 1-1 on Shin-Son Choo, and Harang to the plate. 2 balls and a strike. Just off that outside corner. 3-1 on Shin-Son Choo.
Pitch came in at 93 miles an hour from the right-hander Harang.
Three-one pitch, tardy, and pops it up out of play off to the third base side. Even prior to the thumb injury, Choo has not been getting many base hits. In fact, he's batting right around .150 for his last week. But he has walked 11 times during that same amount of time. So he's getting on base at a .452 clip. So that's certainly something that he has continued to do the whole year, even when he's gone through his offensive slumps, is find a way to get on and thus score runs. 3-2 pitch. And a base hit into center field will plate Frazier. Running on the pitch was Hannigan. He'll go first to third, and Choo delivers 1-0 Reds.
I guess his thumb's all right, because that ball was inside. You've got to get the top hand down and through the ball there. Even though you're pulling with the right arm to get the bat through, the bat head has got to come with the top hand. He delivered a bullet there. Don, I think that's a great point that you made about Choo. Every player is going to go through slumps. They're going to go through ups and downs in the season. But when you're able to find a way to get on base, when it's not via the base hit, as Choo has done, you're still doing your job as a leadoff hitter. And the bottom line is get aboard, set the table for these guys.
Brandon Phillips singled into center his first time up. Strike one.
Phillips has only had 1 RBI since moving out of that number 4 spot.
Of course, this entire year he was the team leader in the RBI category, but after you knock in 14 runs in a week, Jay Bruce now owns that title. 107 knocked in compared to Phillips 102.
With Ludwig coming back, Ludwig has moved to 4th. Jay is hit there every once in a while.
Runner going first to second base. Safe at second. Choo has his 19th stolen base.
Pretty good throw there by Chase Darno, but Harang awfully slow getting the ball to the plate. And to be honest with you, Tom, I don't think Murphy got to the bag in time. He was catching the ball falling towards third base and trying to sweep tag behind his back. You got to be at the bag in time to make the catch.
Well, base hit here could give you a 3-run lead. After the stolen base by Choo, he's at second. Hannigan stands at third. 2 outs in the inning. A fastball down and in. Tony Randazzo calls the balls and strikes tonight. Larry Vanover at first. Greg Gibson at second. The crew chief is Brian Gorman working down at third.
Tom, this is the situation you were talking about with Brandon Phillips that he's been in all year, hitting in that number 4 spot, and he has racked up the RBIs. This is where Phillips has been the most clutch.
3 balls and a strike. Joey Votto hoping for a chance on deck.
Do you dare walk Phillips to get to Votto? It's got to be the thought process going through the head of Aaron Harang. Do I gamble with a breaking ball here? Do I try to make a pinpoint pitch?
Well, he did indeed. He walked with a fastball nowhere near the strike zone, and they are loaded for Joey Votto. Dan Wharton, the New York Mets pitching coach, will trot out for a quick visit with Aaron Harang. Second walk given up by the big right-hander. Well, for Red, it's a home run off that Toyota sign during our game tonight. Linda Schneider from Union, Kentucky will win that Tundra. And you can still register for your chance to win it. 5 games to go. You got to stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. So now Joey Votto. Bases loaded, 2 are out. And he takes ball 1.
Votto has not really had this situation a whole lot this year. If you get bases loaded and you're the number 3 hole hitter, this is gravy time. You want to drive them all in.
He only has 9 at bats the entire year with the bases loaded, and he only has 1 hit. 2-0. Only 1 of those bases loaded chances, which is somewhat surprising when you consider the very low RBI total. 1 for 9, 6 RBIs for Votto with the bases loaded. 8 of the 9 have come with less than 2 out. Only 1 time, this being the second, does he bat in a game with the bases loaded and 2 away. And it is 3-0.
This is normally not what you get from Aaron Harang. He is normally around the strike zone with every batter, righty or lefty.
Votto be taking. And there is a 4-pitch walk with the bases loaded, and the Reds have a 2-0 lead.
And those were not breaking balls that Harang was missing with. Those were fastballs.
Now Ryan Ludwig's turn with the bases loaded. Ryan 0 for 5 with the bases loaded this season. Of course, nearly spending the entire season on the disabled list prevented him from racking up any more than that. Greg Burke, a right-hander, begins to loosen in the Mets bullpen. Oh, that's a second straight at bat that Ludwig on the first pitch has had one to hammer and fouled it straight back.
You could see the eyes of Ryan Ludwig as he fouled it back. He knew he'd missed one. That was supposed to be away, and it runs all the way back middle in. And he just pulled off of it a tad.
And now Ludwig behind like he was in his first time up. No balls and 2 strikes. Those are the numbers we were talking about earlier for Ludwig against this right-hander. Very, very good.
Ludwig has always been a good fastball hitter, and Harang is a fastball pitcher.
That is a fair ball, and making the tag on Choo is Garneau, and that's all for the Reds. They scored twice. 3 hits, 3 left. Call 1-800-ELK Ohio. Best home records in Major League Baseball. The Atlanta Braves right now have the best record in the National League. Boston has gone from last to first from last year to this year. The Reds, a 3rd best home mark in the big leagues, and of course, Cowboy, that is why it would behoove the Reds, and certainly the Pirates feel the same way, that if it does indeed come down to those 2 teams in a 1-game wild card play-in game, you're not guaranteed winning playing at home. Frazier's going to back up, has time with a strong arm, and it's a bad throw.
That was a bad play all the way around by Todd. He misread the ball off the bat, and as you said, he was backing up, and that took everything out of him. You got to go get that ball.
So that'll be an error. He knew it as soon as he threw it. You could see it on his face. That'll allow Aaron Harang to go to second base. That ball actually bounced into the camera well down there, hit the back wall, and came out. Thus, Harang awarded second base.
I think what you were talking about, Tom, is the Reds playing such good baseball at home, and obviously it would behoove them to play at home, whether it's a play-in game, wild card, whatever it may be. Your chances of winning here, this club plays better at home, period. They're exactly .500 on the road,
which strangely enough is still tied with these Mets for the 4th best road record in the National League, and especially the way the Reds started on the road this year. You may remember it was, well, they lost 8 of their first 9.
It was a rough start on the road.
I mean, you look at the Pirates away from home. They've been even better than the Reds. Pirates are 3 games over .500, and they are 19 over as their home schedule is over.
That's part of the reason that the Pirates and the Cardinals have played ahead of the Reds the majority of the season, because their road records have been so good. Reds were playing catch up from that first road trip on.
Young showing bunt, takes up and away, 2 balls and a strike. Leadoff man at second here in the Mets 3rd. Reds with a 2-0 lead.
And believe it or not, Tom, this is not a bad situation for Johnny Cueto. It's actually a good situation. I think everyone would like to see, okay, what can Cueto do if he has to dial it up an extra notch? Can his arm take it?
Bunted perfectly, and you better hurry up. And once Cueto couldn't get there, that's a bunt hit for Young, and they're on the corners now with nobody out.
I think Cueto got his footwork a little bit wrong coming off the mound. You see him break towards third, and as soon as he made that stagger step even slightly towards the third baseline, there was no chance of getting back to the baseball.
Well, now you got to face the 2 best hitters in this Mets lineup, Murphy and Wright. Murphy 73 runs batted in, bounced out to Brandon Phillips his first time up. Young, we brought up earlier, 40 stolen bases, has been thrown out 10 times. Wright waits.
I think right now everyone wants to see how Johnny responds to having adversity on the field. He didn't have any in Houston. And it's not a cakewalk at any point in time pitching in the playoffs, and if he's on that roster, you want to see what he's got.
Harang led off the inning, reaching on an error. Goes to third on a bunt single by Young. 1-1 the count on Daniel Murphy with nobody out. And Cueto misses off the outside corner, 2-1.
Cueto is definitely getting the ball to Hannigan quickly. Not the big turn, the big leg kick. Slide step, quick delivery to the plate. And he's doing that in order to give Hannigan a chance to throw if Young does decide to break for second.
Two and one to Murphy. Popped up. This will not bring in the run from third. They're never going to send Harang. And that's out number 1 here in the Mets' 3rd inning, and they're staying right where they were.
Good pitch there to a quality batter. Hard fastball in on the hands of Murphy. Pops it up. And you're right, there was no chance that Harang even thought about tagging there. This is exactly what you did not want to have happen in your ultimate game plan, is to have to face David Wright with runners in scoring position. Cueto is in this situation now. May not be all bad.
All right, David Wright digging in. We brought up earlier, right from the get-go, before this one ever started, you'd go a long way in beating these New York Mets in this series if you can keep this guy from hurting you. And he's got a chance to hurt you right here and right now with 2 on and 1 out.
Cueto really slowing things down, trying to keep his wits about him. Don't want to make a mistake to this cat.
Runner goes, and it's 1-1 and fouled out of play. Look out down there. And we're just above the Reds dugout.
The young lady on the far end of seats there, she was quick. She was paying attention and watching.
Good. That's the idea.
That's right. Ball comes flying in that way. You got to move in a hurry.
One and one, and a turn and a throw once more over to first base. Paying a lot of attention, trying to keep Young close enough where perhaps on a ground ball you could turn that double play.
Well, as Young broke for second base, David Wright was swinging at the first pitch that he saw. To wonder, would they do it again?
Breaking ball. Oh, where did that miss? I guess perhaps a little bit low.
Pretty good spot there by Johnny Cueto. Even on the slider delivery to the plate, Cueto is getting the ball to Hannigan quickly. With the speed of Young at first base, got to have both the pitcher and catcher doing their jobs right on the money if you're going to get that guy.
When it goes, pitch taken, throw down to second base, and he's in there safely. Joe Luckham, our statistician, just handed me a note. You won't believe this, Cowboy. Eric Young has just become the second player ever to steal second base off the battery combination of Cueto and Hannigan. The other, Albert Pujols, in 2009. That's unbelievable.
Well, with Cueto's quickness to the plate, he's about a 1-1, somewhere between 1.1 second and 1.2 to the plate. Normally teams will not even instruct their batter runners to break for second.
Well, they're foul on a 3-1 pitch, and that makes it 3-2 on David Wright.
But when you have exceptional speed, as Young does, we've seen what the stolen base can do in the last week and a half to 10 days with Billy Hamilton on the Red side. Game changing.
Two on David Wright, and it misses. Ball 4, and the Mets have him loaded.
3-2 changeup from Cueto. Ends up with the walk there. Here's our Mazda pitch by pitch sequence. First pitch fastball misses away. Hit and run, the foul ball. Here's the slider that was questionable. Looked pretty good. Comes in with the fastball as Young breaks for second. Fastball away, and then the changeup that sends David Wright down to first base. All of those pitches very close. A couple of them could have gone either way.
Now they're loaded for Lucas Duda. He bounced out to Brandon Phillips, ending the first inning. Reds scored 2 in the bottom of the second. And the Mets have the bases loaded with 1 out here in the third, and that one fouled off for strike 1. See Duda hitless in 2 at bats. One of those strikeouts this season with the bases loaded.
Double play, pop up, strikeout. That's what you're thinking if you're Johnny Cueto on the mound.
And now ahead 0-2.
2 awfully good fastballs right in on the hands of the left-handed hitting Lucas Duda.
Well, we've talked about this before. Johnny Cueto in his career with the bases loaded, opponents hitting 129. 1 of 5 this year.
The pitching with the bases loaded is all about getting ahead in the count. You put the defense in your category by getting ahead and putting the hitter on the defense and not you.
Ahead 0-2 on Duda. And that one down low. In fact, Cueto, the last 31 times a batter has come to the plate, 31 official at bats with the bases loaded, the opposition has 1 hit.
It's tough to do, but that's getting ahead in the count. You get ahead, as Cueto's done here. The hitter, the last thing he wants to do is take strike 3.
Now it's called the action pitch. This is the pitch you want to try and make it happen on 2-2 rather than obviously going to a full count.
Yeah, Duda was very aggressive on that pitch. Had it not been well up and out of the strike zone, he may have taken a hack. You got to make a quality pitch here if you're Johnny Cueto. Duda is really leaning out over the dish.
In the air, left center field. Do they send Harang here? Choo the catch, and Harang will tag. And the Mets are on the board. A sac fly RBI by Duda, and it's 2-1.
I'm not sure that Shin-Son Choo realized that it was still the pitcher standing at third base. Because as he caught the ball, instead of coming up and firing plateward, he hesitated for a moment and then threw the ball to third base. Pays to know your opponent. Because that ball was not that deep.
So 1 more out to go for Cueto. All of this, of course, started after the error to begin the inning, which allowed Frazier to reach. And the runner takes off for third. Throw down there, and out at third is Young. And that will end the inning. Mets get a run, an unearned run. Week loss to the Bears helped them rally to beat Green Bay yesterday. What a game. Who will be the Buckeyes starting quarterback? They have a big one this weekend up in Columbus against Wisconsin. And of course, stay on top of all the playoff races in Major League Baseball. The Ohio Sports Buzz blog. It's all at foxsportsohio.com. Check it out. Of course, Kenny Guyton filling in for Heisman Trophy hopeful Braxton Miller. All he's done in 2 games is throw 10 touchdown passes. 10 of them, including an Ohio State record 6 on Saturday. There's a bouncer to the shortstop. Jay Bruce retired on 1 pitch to begin the bottom of the third, with the Reds leading 2-1.
One thing about playing a team like the New York Mets at this time of the season, bookended by the Pirates on both sides, you have a tendency to not take this team as seriously or as aggressively and get up for them emotionally as you would against the Pirates. Those games were filled with such emotion.
High fly ball straight away center field. Plenty of room out there for Lagares, and that's out number 2. 3 pitches to get 2 outs for Harang, who had the pitches pile up in each of the first 2 innings of this game. He had 47 of them in 2 innings.
Well, he did a heck of a job of damage control there in the 2nd inning. Even with the 2 walks to Phillips and Votto back to back, didn't really come back to hurt him.
To Kozai, and that's off the inside corner. Ball 3.
Kozar doing exactly what he's supposed to do. Try to work the count in this situation when you've got your 2 prior batters go down in 3 pitches.
3-1 pitch fouled back to the screen. Now 3-2 to Kozai.
As much as you want to work Aaron Harang, you also want to give your guy a chance to get a little breather after that long inning for Cueto.
And he takes a 2-out walk. Ryan Hannigan will bat. 4 walks in the game for Harang. One of them with the bases loaded. We invite you to get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game with Reds Alive here on Fox Sports Ohio. We'll get you ready. Presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Same time, same place tomorrow. Tickets are available for every game on this homestand, including the weekend set with the Pirates. Friday still a night game. Saturday has been changed to a 1 o'clock in the afternoon game. Fox Network will be here for that one. And then Sunday, regular 1:10 start. Comebacker that Harang knocks down, and the Reds are done in the 3rd. A man left. We move to the 4th. Reds 2, Mets 1. Great dishes together. Well, they had a nice in-between innings here at Great American Ballpark. I didn't know it, Cowboy. You're a lot more on top of stuff like this. It would probably be a good idea if I got a little more on top of stuff like this. The man who signs our paychecks, and we're very proud, of course, to work for him in this great franchise. Happy birthday to Mr. Bob Castellini today. He got a great round of applause when they put his face up on the scoreboard here at Great American Ballpark in between innings. What an unbelievable turnaround in this franchise.
This is a day
it starts at the top ever since the Castellini group, along with the Williams brothers and others, bought this franchise from Mr. Lindner.
Yeah, this is a day as a player you might want to win. That'd be a good little present, You know what I'm saying?
I believe it. I know what you're saying. So happy birthday, Mr. Castellini. Hope you're having a great day. His Reds are leading 2-1. And that is a line drive caught by Ryan Ludwig out in left field to take away a hit for Andrew Brown.
Nice aggressive play there by Ryan Ludwig. He got a great jump on the ball. And it was a line drive off the bat. Now, you've got to make this play or you play it on a hop. And it's right out of the gate. Your first step at contact, you decide whether you're going to dive or not. Nice play.
Jason Worth has just hit a 2-run home run in the Washington Nationals first inning. Nationals still batting against Adam Wainwright with a 2-0 lead in the opening inning. Routine this time to the right fielder Jay Bruce, 2 out.
Johnny Cueto starting his 4th inning as Aaron Harang started his 3rd. But unlike Harang, Cueto does not want to issue a base on balls to the number 7 hole hitter.
Travis d'Arnaud, a single into left field with 2 outs, his first time up.
This kid's pulling off the ball right now. You could tell after the first at bat that he pulled into left field, a base hit. Stayed down and away from him. Used that youthful aggressiveness against him. That is a money changeup right there. Good movement, great arm action. Looks like he just pulled the string on the ball as it got to the plate.
2 down, 0-2 on d'Arnaud. And it's up and away. Pirates, by the way, a 1-0 lead over Jeff Samardzija and the Cubbies. That game in the 2nd inning. For whatever reason, the Pirates have owned Jeff Samardzija this year. In 12 innings, the Pirates have scored 10 runs against Samardzija, and that includes tonight. Roller by the mound, and Cueto will enjoy for the first time tonight a perfect inning. Johnny will lead it off. Reds lead 2-1.
And Fox Sports Ohio would like to wish Emily Long of Waverly, Ohio, a special happy birthday today. Emily turns 92 today. Happy birthday, Emily Long. Jim Day with you. We're up here in the high part of Great American Ballpark, and we are with a very special guest. To my right is William Osterman, 103 years young. He turned 103 on Saturday, and William tells me that he's been a Reds fan since he was 6, so that means basically about 96, 97 years you've been a Reds fan, have you not?
Yeah, ever since I was 6 years old.
And it was Crosley Field back then, of course.
Crosley, sure was.
All right, now which era is your favorite? Which era is your favorite team? You told me it's Big Red Machine, right?
Yes. Johnny Bench, there he was. He could hold 7 baseball.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And of course, well, we all know the story about Pete Rose. It's a damn shame. I mean, it all happened that way.
On the back of Williams' jersey, it says Osterman 103. You're looking good. I tell you what, if I make it to 103 and I look as good as you do, something's going right.
Thank you very much. I want you to know I really appreciate it. I'm very thankful. I'm thankful to the Lord for bearing with me, and all my faults and everything. You know, I was in the banking career for 49 years.
49 years. Well, I tell you what, William Osterman, it is a pleasure to meet you. It is our pleasure to be sitting here talking to you. 103 years old. God bless you, and we thank the Lord as well.
I want you to know I appreciate it very much indeed.
103 on Saturday, and there's not a bigger Reds fan in the stadium.
Jim, I'll tell you what, that guy right there, I mean, he's still got it.
Can you imagine just the decades of baseball that he has seen?
Just the decades of life, man.
Decades of life, and
God bless him.
Yes,
William
sir.
Osterman, 103 years young, out here at the ballpark tonight. Wow. I would imagine Mr. Osterman, Cowboy, he has grandkids that are our age.
They're probably older than us.
Where the number starts with a 5.
Yes. Well, we're both.
No, suck it up. Just accept it, all right?
Yeah, we're both
turned
Hawaii
52
5-0.
weeks ago, right? I did.
But I mean, his grandkids have got to be older than we are. I mean, if he's 103, his grandkids are probably 70.
Well, his kids are probably.
Oh, his
70.
kids, yeah. Well, yeah. Grandkids are probably all right. That's right.
Wow, man, 103, and I mean, hanging out in the ballpark and be able to tell you, you know, Johnny Bench held to 7 baseballs. I mean, everybody remembers that picture.
That's the
but when
thing.
you're 103 and to remember it, that's getting it done.
I know, but when you're that age, imagine the things that that man has seen in his lifetime.
Oh. Choo puts a bat on the ball, drifting to make the catch. Lagares, 1 out.
Life is all about experiences, and I'm sure that he has had many. Oh, the stories he could tell.
Well, I'd have been curious to hear from Mr. Osterman. And, you know, maybe I shouldn't assume that he has children or grandchildren. I mean, that's an assumption on my part. But, I mean, I would be curious if he does indeed have kids. Then how many grandkids? How many great-grandkids? How many great-great-grandkids?
Yeah.
Now Brandon Phillips. First pitch swinging, a little pop-up into short right. Reds are making it easy on Harang here these last couple of innings.
Well, this is Aaron Harang for you. Throwing strikes, make you swing the bat. He's a fly ball pitcher. If you don't get on top of the ball, he can put you in the book in a hurry.
Time for our AT&T trivia question. Who are the only 2 players in Reds history to finish in the top 10 in the National League in batting average for 5 consecutive years? Now, Votto has done it in 4 straight. He's 10th this year, so probably not going to get there. Well, I beg your pardon, he is 10th, and that is a question. So forgive me, he will make it 5 this year, but there will be, or a chance. There are 2 others that have done it already. And who are they?
Top 10, 5 consecutive years?
Yes. I know who I would have guessed, and I would have been wrong. Of course, that's nothing new. My wife reminds me of that regularly. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Were you going to guess
Votto.
Pete?
What?
Were you going to guess Pete?
Yes.
That's who I would have guessed
Yes.
first. And that's wrong?
That's wrong.
Well, I'm probably not going to get any then.
Well, one of the names, I got to tell you, it surprises me because if there is one man, maybe more than any other player in baseball history that exemplifies the changes in this game of baseball more than maybe any other player, it is this man and how the game has changed since he played. Because the big sluggers in this day and age, the big sluggers, they're striking out 180 times a year,
yes,
and they ain't finishing in the top 10 in batting.
Are you talking maybe like Kluszewski?
Yes, sir. Votto swings and fouls it out of play to make it 2-2. He would be one of the 2. How about that? Ted Kluszewski. Walked more than he struck out most seasons.
That's a rarity indeed. It was rare in his time and really rare now. Much more emphasis put on the walk rather than the strikeout this day and age. Doesn't seem to be as much embarrassment if you strike out now.
Check swing on a pitch up. They appeal, and Brian Gorman says no. 3-2 to Joey Votto. Ball 4 to Joey. He has walked 3 times tonight. For Aaron Harang, Harang had his 5 walks in what, 3 2/3 innings.
5 walks.
So the inning continues for Ryan Ludwig. He's had a couple of chances already tonight. Came up with 2 on and 1 out in the first inning. Flied out to right. Came up with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the second inning, and then a roller right in front of the plate that the catcher picked up and tagged out the runner coming down the line from third to end the inning.
Harang had 2 starts previously with the Mets before this start tonight. He only walked 4 batters total in those 11 innings. Struck out 18 batters. Here tonight he's already walked 5. He doesn't have a strikeout. Yeah. Almost Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde for Harang, the way that he has pitched to Votto versus the way he has gone after Ludwig.
0-2 to count. 2 on and 2 out. And a little broken bat pop up and caught by Murphy in short right field, and that'll end the inning. The Reds in 3 innings tonight have left 7 on base. Sunday, last one of the year, Reds and the Pirates. When one member of the family purchases a full price ticket, they'll get the option to buy 3 additional non-premium tickets at half price. You must purchase these tickets in advance of game day. Please keep that in mind. I heard somebody on the radio the other day talking that they couldn't get this deal because they didn't buy it ahead of time. So try and keep that in mind. And we also tell you Wednesdays at 6. Join us for a look back on the previous week of Reds action. We call it Reds Weekly. This week, Brandon Phillips will sit down with Jim Day and watch some of his most spectacular defensive plays. You're going to do it together. And why is Dusty so popular with his players? Reds Weekly, Wednesdays at 6. Brought to you by Safe Auto. Drive safe. Spend less. And a big round of applause you heard that they put up on the scoreboard, that at the end of an inning, the Nationals have a 2-1 lead over the Cardinals. Jason Worth clubbing a 2-run home run in the first inning. Well, the Cardinals got one of them back in the bottom of the inning. And we'll keep you up to speed on that one. Cubs left runners at second and third in the second inning and still trail the Pirates 1-0. That game now in the third in Chicago. Here we're in the fifth. Reds 2, Mets 1. Johnny Cueto's thrown 61 pitches. Not quite the command that he had his first time out. 35 strikes against 26 balls. He's walked a pair. But the only run the Mets scored was an unearned run. Aaron Harang reached on a Todd Frazier error, leading off the Mets' third inning. The only hit they had in the inning was a bunt single by Eric Young. 8, 9, and 1. Quintanilla, Harang, and then back to Young in the Mets' fifth. 0-2.
Well, you play all year long for this final week of the season for your team to be in it. You're watching the scoreboard. The Reds are not only watching one team, but yet 2. Pirates on one side, Cardinals on the other. Every inning, as the scoreboard changes, the moans and the groans from the folks in the stands. And I guarantee you, the dugout as well. Yes, we do watch the scoreboard.
Pull to the right side. Brandon will take care of that. Quintanilla out to start the inning.
Cueto's looked very sharp here today. Had that third inning that led off with an error. It's the only time a run has scored. Other than that, he's been right on the money.
Jim Day was kind enough to ask the question after we left as Aaron Harang makes his way to the plate. We were wondering about Mr. William Osterman, who turns 103. Jim Day, if you missed it, interviewed Mr. Osterman a little while ago, and after they wrapped it up, we were speculating about children, grandchildren, so on and so forth. 4 kids, 7 grandkids, 5 great grandchildren, with 1 more on the way.
That's the way you do it.
It's a very fortunate, blessed man. Thank you, Jim Day.
When you and I celebrate our 103rd, let's just hang out. We'll just sit up here and kick back. Let's go out to the moon deck for one.
I'm all for it. Should that day come around, amen.
Take a little breeze in off the river.
Two and two on Harang.
Hey, Tom and Jeff, one more thing about William Osterman.
Yeah.
They said that up until 2 years ago, he was living on his own. Completely living on his own at 101. Now he lives in a home, and the ladies up there that were sitting with him said that if you need to know something that happened in the Reds game, you go ask William, because he's got it down.
Harang gone swinging. That is amazing.
Living on his own at 101. I'm having trouble doing that at 50. My wife leaves town, I got a problem. There's only so much KFC and Coke I can go get, you know. Honey, you can't eat ice cream for lunch.
Well, you could.
I know, but I'm not supposed to. It sure is good, though.
Well, I mean, I just figured, I think all Reds fans just figured, with all those commercials, you know, that you and my dad do for, you know, ribs and chicken. And, of course, for our friends from United Dairy Farmers.
You got it.
I think everybody just figures you've got a constant stash of both of those.
If it's there, I'm eating it. It's going to be gone.
Look at Brandon Phillips.
Highlight.
Oh, my.
Highlight.
Far to his left and throws out the speedy Eric Young. Finishing the top 10 of the National League in batting average 5 consecutive years. Joey Votto with a good chance to do it this year. 2 of the greatest names in Reds history. Gave you the name Ted Kluszewski along with Ed Roush. Clue, a mountain of a man, and I'm not so sure when they came up with that term, gentle giant. I'm not so sure he wasn't the first one to get it. Of course, he was a coach, the hitting coach for the Reds during those Big Red Machine days. Remember, as a little guy when my dad first got the job with the Reds in 1974. And look, I grew up in Virginia Beach, Virginia, among other places, before we moved to Cincinnati. I no more knew who Ted Kluszewski was than the man on the moon. And that guy, to a little kid, I mean, here you're talking about one of the greatest stars in the history of the Reds, one of the great stars in the history of baseball. I mean, just the sweetest, kindest man you'd ever meet. Jay Bruce, a bouncer down to first base. And that's the way it starts here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. He was a beautiful man, and that is not a word you often use to describe another man, especially a man of his size. But he was just a beautiful human being.
Great in heart and soul.
Yep.
This is one of those kinds of ball games, Tom, where you just don't want to let the Mets hang around. They become dangerous in a 2-1 ball game in the last couple of innings. This is the kind of team that you want to put them away. You don't want to give a guy like David Wright a shot or a Lucas Duda.
Well, Harang threw 47 pitches in the first 2 innings. 47. He's thrown now, what, 32 over the last 2 1/3. Look at the pitch innings. 16 in the fourth, or 10, 16, and 6 over these last 3.
And he's walked batters in each of those innings.
And perhaps about to do it again. Falling behind Frazier at 3-0. And he walks him. So he has walked a batter now in 5. For a total of 6. We saw Aaron Harang pitch a lot of baseball, 2003 to 2012 with the Reds. Won 75 games. We talked about the 38 wins at Great American Ballpark, second in the park's history only to Bronson Arroyo's 52. The Reds opening day starter 5 straight years. 06, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Tied him with Pete Donahue and, of course, the great Mario Soto for the most consecutive opening day starts in Reds club history.
I don't think we ever saw him walk 6 batters.
No, that's what I was ultimately getting at. Is, I mean, he threw 924 innings, the 7th most innings among all National League pitchers during that span. And at least the games, Cowboy, we saw, we didn't see all those. But you'd be hard pressed to find many games where Harang was this wild.
And he was a strikeout artist when he was with the Reds. And his first start with the Mets, he was striking out guys at an alarming rate. But he has nothing, no strikeouts here tonight. But yet 6 walks and a 2-1 game.
Only 2 times in his Reds career, 2 times did he walk 6 batters in a game. And you've got to go back to 07 and 08. Now, last year, he did walk 8 batters in a game while pitching for the Dodgers. Well, I don't know what's happened to our statistician Joe Luckett since we got back into town. I mean, he's the answer man for everything tonight.
I think he's been doing some reading. Been reading up on the history.
Man,
sharp as a tack.
It's like a machine over here spitting out these cards. There's a swing and a miss by Kozak. 2 away in the inning.
There's his first strikeout of the night. Just that fastball down in the zone. Nothing special.
Ryan Hannigan, a single, scored a run when the Reds scored both of their runs in the second inning against Harang. He bounced out to the pitcher his last time up, ending the 3rd.
The Reds aren't able to get something going with 2 outs here. They are really going to have to get it going with the top of the order coming up in the 6th.
Oh, and 1 on Ryan Hannigan. Fastball away. A ball and a strike on the Reds catcher with 1 on and 2 out here in the bottom of the 5th inning in a tight one. In the opening game of this 3-game set, we're down to the final 6 games of the year. Reds beginning play, 2 behind the Cardinals in the National League Central Division in a 2nd place tie with the Pirates. Pittsburgh will be here on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Back-to-back weekends The Reds and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Great atmosphere, I'm sure, in Pittsburgh over the weekend.
Standing room only. They were standing on the Roberto Clemente Bridge watching the game.
Breaking ball way out in front of it, pulled foul. And here you have it, DirecTV standings for the National League Central. Cardinals play 3 against the Washington Nationals, and then they will take on the Chicago Cubs over the weekend. Reds obviously 3 against the Mets, Pirates 3 against the Cubs, and then the Reds and Pirates Friday, Saturday, Sunday to end the regular season. Will they play a 163rd game against one another? That game is scheduled to be played, the National League wild card game, on Tuesday night, a week from tomorrow. Of course, there's all kinds of wild scenarios out there as the runner goes and it's taken, throw down to second base and out at second is Cozart. So that means 8, 9, and 1 will bat for the Reds when they come to bat at the end of the inning, and Frazier is thrown out trying to steal everywhere. End of 5. Johnny Cueto and the Reds with a 2-1 lead over the New York Mets. Big inning for Cueto. You got 2, 3, and 4 coming up in the batting order. Murphy, Wright, and Duda. Cueto has only allowed 2 base hits, a 2-out single to Darno in the second inning, and a bunt hit by Eric Young. The only run, an unearned run against Cueto, came in the Mets' 3rd inning. Jam shot pop up, and Bruce coming in to get it. 1 pitch and 1 out for Johnny here in inning number 6.
Only 73 pitches thus far for Cueto, with 100 being the target tonight. He's only allowed that 1 unearned run that came back in the 3rd. Cueto has really pitched inside well. And that's a pitch you really have to extend on. You really have to drive the ball in. And I'm talking about in on left-handers. And if any pitch was going to affect the backside of that shoulder and the top of the lat muscle, that insertion area, that would be it. And it has not shown any effect here thus far for Johnny.
David Wright digging in. He's walked twice in the game. And a breaking ball outside for ball 1.
Really just hope that Cueto feels as good inside as he appears on the outside. Calm, cool, and collected. He looks awfully confident.
One and 2 to count on David Wright. You know, Cowboy, I'm curious. You know, before Cueto started, and now he was pitching, you know, in the bullpen, simulated games. And Chris Welsh said it makes you wonder how important really is spring training. You know, you heard from years and years how important it is, especially for the pitchers in getting ready. But, you know, you go out, you throw 1 game where you throw 1 inning. Next time you go out and throw 25, 30 pitches, 2 innings, you know, building your way up to get to maybe 100 pitches by the time spring training is over. There's a broken bat, and Cozart into shallow left center to get it.
First 2 steps defensively are always the keys, and Cozart there, drop step with the left foot on contact and a dead sprint backwards to make an over the shoulder catch. I think going back to the spring training remark, Tom, there are pitchers and then there are Johnny Cuetos, and to do what he's done takes much more from the neck up than it does from the physical side. I think just the presence and the will to win has pushed Johnny to where he is right now. He is a very special cat. There are some pitchers that need that full month of spring training, month and a half, if you will, to develop that confidence, to get things going to where they feel like, okay, I'm ready for the season. Whereas there are others that say, all right, I want to compete right now.
High fly ball into right field. You brought up the name Duda earlier in a one-run game, and he has just tied it. Clubbing a 1-0 pitch to the seats in right, and just like that, it's a tie game.
That is why you don't want to let a team like this just hang around. Cueto was trying to cut that fastball in on the hands of Duda, and it just didn't quite get there.
Swing and a miss by Andrew Brown.
10 2/3 innings on the comeback trail before Cueto gives up an earned run.
Of course, his team has had so many opportunities in this game. First inning, they had 2 on, 1 out, couldn't score. Second inning, got a bases loaded walk to Votto to bring in a run, but left the bases loaded in that inning. And they had 2 on and 2 out in the fourth and could not score. So Duda ties it up with a home run. It'll be Harang, Cueto, and Choo coming up in the Red 6 in a tie game. The tension between Team Rousey and Team Tate spills over into the locker room. It's being called the best new rivalry in sports. The Ultimate Fighter this Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox Sports 1. Two-2 game. Ryan Hanigan, Johnny Cueto, Shin-Son Choo. Scheduled trio to face Aaron Harang, who's walked 6 batters. Not one of them has scored a run. Now, one of the walks came with the bases loaded to bring in a run, but not one of the 6 walks has come around to score. In fact, only one of the 6. No, I beg your pardon. None of the 6 has even gotten to third base. And a 2-1 pitch is popped up. Lagares here to get it, 1 away.
It makes you wonder if Frazier was running on his own there with 2 outs with Hanigan at the plate, because when you get thrown out, as Todd did, then you end up with 8, 9, and 1 rather than the pitcher and then the number 1 spot coming to the plate.
Johnny Cueto is 1 for 2. Could not put down a successful sacrifice in the second inning. Fouled out to the catcher, and then leading off the 4th, he singled into center field. Oh, 2.
That was the attempted push bunt by Cueto that you were talking about earlier. But all that movement in the box ahead of time, I think Johnny lost track of where the pitch was. Harang about set to reach that 100 pitch mark here in a couple of pitches.
And a slow roller by the mound. The shortstop Quintanilla throws out Cueto. First two retired here in the Reds' 6th inning of a 2-2 game. Catch all the action of a 2013 Major League Baseball postseason on Fox, TBS, and the MLB Network beginning October the 1st. Here we're tied at 2. In Chicago, the Pirates still a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the 4th inning. Now they go to the top of the 5th. Pirates in front of the Cubs. And the Nationals with a 2-1 lead over the Cardinals in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Cardinals batting with a runner in first and 2 out. Choo 1 of 3 and an RBI single in the 2nd inning.
I had someone ask me the other day who said, Jeff, are you worried about playing a 1-game wild card game going where everything is on the line for a playoff berth? I said, yeah. And this was a lady that asked me this, and she said, well, baseball is just one of those games that anybody can beat anybody on a given day. Why don't they have the wild card spread out where you have 2 games or 3 games, the best 2 out of 3? I said, hey, they've done the best that they can at this point to spread it out and give everybody a chance. But right now, the way it's set up, the division winner, that's what you want. They are the ones that are in the driver's seat.
And the Reds still have a chance to win the National League Central Division.
Otherwise, you were down to that playoff game. And as we have seen, you could be playing the Houston Astros and lose that ball game because anything can happen on any day.
That ball in the air pretty well hit by Shin-Son Choo. Did he get enough? No. In front of the wall, Legara is able to haul it in. We're off to the 7th. It's a big game here tonight. 2-2 affair.
Brought to you by Head & Shoulders, now with a hint of Old Spice. Cueto started the game with a strikeout. Quintanilla looking there, and how about this breaking ball? Oh yeah, straight down with the changeup. Cueto has been awfully good tonight. 1 unearned run. The only mistake he has made was a breaking ball that did not quite get where he wanted it to the number 4 hole hitter Lucas Duda.
6, 7, 8 in the Mets batting order here in the top of the 7th inning of this 2-2 game. Lagares takes a breaking ball in the outside corner, a called strike.
It's an awfully good sign for the Reds right now to have Johnny Cueto standing on the mound in the 7th inning of a game he started. And he's still throwing the ball 92-93.
Well, we talked about Cueto perhaps getting up to the 100 pitch mark. 85 of them so far in the game. Working into the 7th inning. Talking about a guy who was a 19-game winner a season ago. Getting better and better every year of his major league career. Still so young. And clearly over the last 3 seasons has been among the elite pitchers in all the National League. Ranked in the top 5 in the National League Cy Young Award voting. I think he's certainly a guy, Cowboy, that perhaps is under the radar more than any other of the high-profile, big-time successful starting pitchers in the National League.
I think part of it is reaching that 20-win mark. I think you look at the ERA, the innings pitched, hits per innings, and pitching in this ballpark doesn't help him. This is a hitter-friendly ballpark. But in my mind, it should add to the presence of the numbers for Cueto. When you pitch here and you put up those kind of numbers.
That's why I was stunned he did not finish at least 2nd last year in the Cy Young. I get it with Clayton Kershaw. The number he puts up, I mean, there's nobody disputing that. But when you take in all things into consideration, especially as you mentioned this ballpark, and to pitch here half your starts, you know, some years it'll be a little more than half, some be a little less than half, but to do what Cueto has done pitching here has just been extraordinary.
And I understood the issue with R.A. Dickey. I mean, he threw the ball as good as you can throw it. And pitching for a team that did not do much offensively. It was all him all the time.
Yep. And he's followed it up with a pretty good year in Toronto.
Yes.
Guy who
in a whole different league.
And you got to feel very good for him. Everything he's been through in his life
and where he came from.
Yep.
No doubt about it.
On that 2-1 pitch is Darno to make it 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I think this is going to be Johnny's final inning. But what I'm seeing from Cueto is a very comfortable pitcher. I think he feels good about his stuff, and he's on the attack. The pitch was 94 miles an hour from Cueto. I think when you see Cueto aggressive with all of his pitches, I think we're seeing Johnny turning in some excellent pitches and performance.
Wow. 3-2 pitch and he missed it, and that's a walk. Third of the night given up by Johnny Cueto.
Johnny goes with a 3-2 slider, and I think that you may question the 3-2 slider with a guy like Travis d'Arnaud at the plate. Yes, he's only hitting 186 coming into tonight's game, but that's how Johnny pitches. And if you're going to be successful not only against the Mets and the Astros, but also teams like the Cardinals or the Pirates, the Braves, the Dodgers, which is where Cueto's next start will come, those are the pitches that you have to make.
Well, you got the number 8 batter now. And Quintanilla, 2-2 game. That's Mike Baxter, a left-handed batter, standing in the on-deck circle for Aaron Harang. My, oh my, we're getting late, and you can't get much tighter in a 2-2 game. 1 on and 1 out.
The Reds have not put away Aaron Harang. And this is now the second start this year that he's come back into this ballpark and won. He has yet to lose a game against the former team he pitched so well for. Harang 3 career starts against the Reds, today being his 4th. He's won all 3 up till today.
On swinging Quintanilla, and that's 2 away in the inning.
Pretty good changeup there by Cueto. Not many pitchers use a changeup at 0-2. But you see the movement, the lunging action of the hitter, Quintanilla. He sees that as a fastball. He's got to try to protect, trying to be quick, get to the baseball, and it's not there as he swings.
Strike 1 of the pinch hitter Baxter. So Aaron Harang survives tonight. I mean, he was in trouble in what? Major trouble 3 of the 6 innings he worked tonight.
6 walks in 6 innings. And he only had 1 strikeout.
And yet he found a way to meet the big pitch, especially tonight, anyway, to Ryan Ludwig. I mean, that's been the guy that Harang got his biggest outs of the night against. 2 on in the first, bases loaded in the second, 2 on in the fourth.
And I think Harang came into the ball game, made up his mind he was not going to let Votto beat him.
Line in the left, Johnny Cueto, 7 innings of 2-run, 1-earned baseball tonight. All right, here we go. It's Phillips, Votto, and Ludwig coming up. Here on the Reds, they take on the Pirates. The first 20,000 fans get a 2013 team photo, and you know the rest of it. We have drawings for fan prizes throughout the entire game, including gift cards, Reds autographed items, so much more. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/tickets. Of course, tonight, our final Bark in the Park here at Great American Ballpark. Those tickets sell out the second they go on sale before the season begins. And boy, it's great to see. That fella right there looks like him or the lady. Been around a while. And of course, a great job, all the folks, Harold Dates, Larry Pauly, Mike Retzloff, and the entire gang, all they do out at SPCA Cincinnati. And man, I was out there the other day walking dogs with my daughter Ellen, and there are some unbelievable dogs available for adoption out there right now. My daughter likes going out there from time to time to walk the dogs, get them outside, fresh air, some exercise, and man, do they have some great ones out there right now. Go check it out. 2 locations, Conray Road over in Coleraine Avenue.
Gonzalez Hermin. The G is pronounced as an H. Right-hander coming on. He's allowed a lot of runs. 10 over his last 13 innings, 8 over his last 8 innings. But the last 4 have been scoreless. This is a point in time where if you're manager Terry Collins, you put one of your young guys out there, you want to see what he's got against the best of the best, and the Reds would qualify.
Average a strikeout per inning almost. He's also walked 15 batters. That's pretty nasty changeup right there.
That is his pitch. The changeup. As we've seen Cueto today, really turning over that changeup. Phillips almost falls down. It had so much bite to it.
Herman turns it loose, and a fastball is up and in. 2-1 to Phillips. 2, 3, and 4 in the order. Reds are leaning hard on Phillips, Votto, Ludwig, maybe more here in the bottom of the 7th inning of a 2-2 game. 2, the number of games the Reds are behind the Cardinals for the top spot in the Central. Cardinals are down a run, but they're early in the 4th inning. Pirates in the 5th, leading at Chicago by a run. And it's ball 3 to Brandon Phillips.
But you have to count on your big guys to produce in these games. This is the biggest point in the ball game, the biggest point in the season for the Reds. Phillips, Votto, Ludwig, Bruce, only 1 hit amongst the 4 here today.
3-1 to count on Brandon Phillips. Got beat with a fastball. Full count.
Well, after missing the changeup the way Phillips did, and he was very surprised by it, facing a pitcher he's never seen before, you've got to shorten up, shoot the ball the other way, and wait as long as you possibly can. You don't want to be fooled by that changeup yet again.
Now back out of play. Do it again at 3-2. He's just uncorking fastballs here in this 3-2 count.
This is
really ever since it went to 3-1.
This is the kind of at bat that we saw from Phillips early in the season. Continued to fight off borderline pitches until he gets a pitch that he can handle, that's out over the plate, that he can shoot the other way.
Herman delivers. Got him swinging and came back to that changeup.
Fastball, changeup, but this time the changeup is down and away rather than running in, and he just ran out of bat, did Brandon Phillips.
0-1 to Joey Votto. He's walked 3 times tonight, once with the bases loaded for his 73rd run batted in on the season. We're tied at 2 in the bottom of the 7th. A ball and a strike to Votto.
130 bases on balls.
Obviously most in the National League, as is his on-base percentage. 3rd in runs, 5th in hits. Already told you 10th in batting. 9th in slugging percentage. Man, this kid's got a good changeup.
Yes, he does.
Man.
Outstanding delivery as far as arm action. Ball moving into the righties, away from the lefties, yet the last pitch he threw, Phillips stayed straight.
Votto thought that was ball 4. Instead of strike 2. You be the judge.
Sure looked like ball 4. That has not been a strike tonight.
Now Votto stepped in the box. He'll get back out and now take his time settling back in before this 3-2 pitch. Harang, the pause, and here it comes on 3-2. And that is ball 4. 4th time Votto's walked in the game. And that is the 7th walk given up by New York Mets pitching. First time in Joey Votto's career he's walked 4 times in a game. All right, a chance for Ryan Ludwig. 0 for 3 in the game. Go ahead run at first with 1 out here in the last of the 7th inning. And he looks at a strike.
Well, Harang throws that first pitch fastball down at the bottom of the strike zone. He's got a little giddy up to it as well. 93 miles an hour. He'll start that changeup just a little bit higher to sucker you into swinging at it, and then the bottom falls out of it.
Jam shot, shallow left field, and that's out number 2. It's also been a very quiet night tonight for Jay Bruce. It's been a black hole, that 4-5 combination so far for the Reds. Ludwig 0 for 3, and now 0 for 4. Jay Bruce 0 for 3 has not hit the ball out of the infield, and he's going to be facing a left-hander as Terry Collins will remove Harang. And he's going to bring on the left-hander Pedro Feliciano. Is that the dude who sang Feliz Navidad? Jose Feliciano. It's our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Miller Lite. It was this time a year ago, August the 14th, Jay Bruce ended a game against the New York Mets with a home run. You don't have to wait that long tonight. We can go ahead and give him a 2-run lead right here, right now, if you like. And it'll be Pedro Feliciano taking over on the mound. And Bruce first pitch swinging, fly ball center field, inning over. 1 pitch is all for Bruce. We're on our way to the 8th in a 2-2 game. The Reds' 3rd inning, 2nd inning, a base hit into center field. They loaded the bases for Joey Votto in that same inning. He drew a walk. Reds had a 2-0 lead. But after an error allowed Aaron Harang to reach, leading off the 3rd. Harang would score on a fly ball by Lucas Duda, an unearned run against Johnny Cueto. And then Cueto in the 6th. Bases empty. 1-0 pitch. Duda ties the game with a home run to right. Johnny Cueto, 7 innings tonight, allows 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned. He will not win it, nor will he lose it. His night is over. Boy, you have to be so excited, Cowboy, about the way Johnny Cueto has thrown the ball now in a second start back in the rotation.
Started out very good. Worked through a 3rd inning where he had a little bit of difficulty. Started out with the error. Yes, he made a mistake to Lucas Duda, but the finish was tremendous. You go out there and pitch the way he did. Now let's hope everything is okay on the comeback trail tomorrow as far as getting ready for the next start. Sam LeCure.
And the Mets have a top of the order. Eric Young looks at a strike. By the way, the Cardinals have come back to tie that game against Washington. It's 2-2 now in the bottom of the 4th inning in St. Louis. And the Pirates are batting with 2 outs and nobody on in the 6th at Wrigley Field. Pirates scored in the 1st inning 1 run, and that's the only run for either team so far.
I think folks tend to forget that this time of the season for teams like the Mets and the Cubs, this is their postseason, and this is the way they play it, as hard and as tight as they can. That's why it's so important against a team that has a losing record and is definitely not going to postseason. Get on top of them early. You take their incentive and their life away from them if you score early and you put them away.
Two and 1 to Young. And there's a strike. I mean, look no further than Terry Collins, Mets manager. When David Wright came off the disabled list over the weekend, he had Wright play the first 2 games, sat him down yesterday. He said, well, you know, he just came back from a DL, been a while. He said, well, also, I want to make sure he's ready to play in Cincinnati.
Right.
Because in the spirit of the game and in Major League Baseball, Terry Collins understands he's been on one side, he's been on the other side.
If he's playing the Cubs, you can play all your young guys. See how they do. See how they handle the big league level. But against the Reds are fighting for a playoff berth. You owe it to the Pirates and the Cardinals and the other teams in the division to put your A team out there.
3-2, big pitch here to Young. And a liner into center field. It'll fall in front of Choo, a base hit. So now you have Young, who has 40 stolen bases on the year. He's aboard representing the go-ahead run here in the New York top half of the 8th inning. And you got to wonder, do they start Young early in this at bat?
Sam trying to make sure that he gets the pitch over the plate, and he ends up leaving it up in the strike zone. And it didn't appear Choo got a very good jump on the ball coming in. I think you're exactly right, Tom. I think you're going to see Eric Young make a dash for second base. Stole second on the best with Cueto and Hannigan on the tandem.
Oh boy, trouble a-brewing. Base hit into left field off the bat of Daniel Murphy, and LeCure has faced 2 batters and given up 2 base hits.
Another fastball up in the strike zone, and Murphy has no problem with that one. He hit it so hard it was by Todd Frazier by the time Frazier went into his leap. You let them hang around, this is what happens. Trouble brewing.
2 on, nobody out, 2-2 game. Wright has walked twice and popped up on a terrific play made by Cozart. A little broken bat pop up into short left center that Cozart ran down.
This is the part of the season where you don't play for 2 out of 3 in the series. You play for tonight, win tonight, worry about tomorrow when it gets there. You got to win every game.
Breaking ball in the dirt, and now LeCure has fallen behind. 2 balls and no strikes. Well, we've talked about it so frequently, what with the injuries the Reds have had in their bullpen. And with the guys that have stepped up like LeCure, like Simon, like Parra, like Hoover. But all these guys are pitching in very different roles than they were this time a year ago. It would have been Broxton this time a year ago in the 8th inning in a tie game. Quite a huge swing and a miss, 2-1. But now these moments belong to guys like Hoover and LeCure in the Reds bullpen.
And it is what you make out of it, especially for the Hoovers and LeCures. If you're going to take that extra step up the ladder and pitch, this is where you want to be, but you got to get the job done as well.
Simon, another guy in that same boat.
Boy, he has really thrown the ball well lately. That road trip, he was a lifesaver for the Reds.
2-1 the count on David Wright. And right down the middle with a fastball, and Wright takes it for strike 2.
You can see where the mitt of Hannigan is. It's on the outside corner. That's where that baby starts. But it had some late life to it and cut right back over the plate.
Big pitch, big batter right here for LeCure and the Reds. 2-2 game, 2 on, nobody out. We're in the 8th inning. And the most dangerous Mets hitter at the plate. Strike 3 call. And that's going to be all for LeCure. They have the left-hander Sean Marshall getting ready for Duda.
Top of the strike zone pitch from LeCure. It starts off the plate and comes right back to the outside corner. Lefty coming on. We'll be right back. This will be the 3rd time Marshall has taken the mound since coming back from the disabled list. He's had a couple of scoreless outings. This is the first real test for Sean Marshall, pitching in the 8th inning. Runners aboard, and the game's on the line. This is not a warm-up type of atmosphere for Marshall here. It is game on, and the man who's driven in both runs today coming to the plate in Lucas Duda.
Of course, Marshall has missed the overwhelming majority of this season for the Reds. His problem started all the way back in spring training when they described it as a tired shoulder. And he has worked his way back, much like tonight's Red starter Johnny Cueto, without going back down to the minor leagues because of not only where they were, but where the minor league seasons were by the time you were ready to think about bringing him back. Breaking ball sweeps away to Duda. Base hits by Young and Murphy started this inning against Sam LeCure. He got a strikeout of David Wright. And now the left-handed batting Duda, with Marshall coming on to face him. Breaking ball and a beauty by Marshall to even the count at 1-1.
This is where your lefty specialists come in as big as you can create the atmosphere. The toughest lefty in the lineup is Duda. Marshall is there to get him and him only.
Started to. He did not take a swing at it. 2 balls and a strike.
Pretty good slider there by Marshall. That one was at 83 miles an hour and had some life to it at the end.
They're going to have to hurry. Phillips, Cozart, and Marshall delivers the goods.
Best I've seen him throw yet. Good snap on that breaking ball.
Play ball to get out of a 2-on, 1-out jam and bring the Reds to the plate.
It's not always about fastball velocity with a specialist. It's about snap and late break on their specialty pitch. For Marshall, it's the curveball. And that pitch there started right at the front shoulder of the left-handed hitting Duda. Snaps over the outside corner. He hit it right off the end of the bat. And that's the key to a healthy bullpen. As you saw Marshall coming in, the first man to greet him, Sam LeCure. I pick you up, you pick me up, but we put zeros on the board.
They're showing this old fella up on a scoreboard out there dancing around for the Frank Sinatra music. As Frank Francisco, you've known this young man for a long time, Cowboy.
Came up in the Texas Ranger organization. He's bounced around a little bit. Pretty good arm.
Of course, the Mets signed him prior to 2011 thinking he might be their closer. And it has not gone well.
He just has a tough time locating the fastball. And there are some days when that trouble, he just can't figure it out. And when you're closing, that's not a good thing.
Been on the disabled list this entire year following that elbow surgery. And then once he came back, he got a bruise taking one off his right hand. That's why you see he's pitched very, very little, only 4 games this entire season. And whether or not he's been healthy for a long time, we do know, Cowboy, you touched on it. This guy has been a big league closer, and at times has been a very good one. So he knows what it's like to pitch in tight games late. He was a closer with the Rangers, closer in Toronto. Cardinals have gone ahead 4-2 over the Nationals in the bottom of the 5th inning. Nationals led that game 2-0. Jam shot, roller, foul.
That was an emergency swing by Todd Frazier. When he made contact, the ball was well in off the plate. Watch the last second. You see Todd bring his elbows in. We call that an alligator arm swing. Because you're not sure if the ball is going to break over the inside corner or if it's just going to continue to spin inside. And with 2 strikes, you can't take a chance.
2-2 on Frazier. Cozart waits on deck. Up and in. 3-2 on Todd Frazier in his 2-2 game, leading off the bottom of the 8th inning.
Make him get the ball down. Don't chase the pitch up and out of the strike zone.
One out. Let's take a look at our Subway in-game box score. Reds only have 5 hits, same number as the New York Mets, and 4 of the 5 hits came in the first 2 innings. They got a single by Phillips in the first, Hits by Frazier, Hannigan, and Choo in the second. The only hit since then belongs to Johnny Cueto. That is the only Red hit since the second inning.
All right, come on, coach. And the walks by Harang are what just startle you. And the fact that the Reds just could not take advantage of it.
Head of the bat goes flying into the stands. Hopefully everybody's all right down there. The catch is made by Darno, and there are 2 out. Now Ryan Hannigan.
Play a game like this against a team like the Mets. You come into the ball game a little relaxed, thinking that you're going to mow right over this ball club. And when things don't go that way, all of a sudden you find yourself in the 7th or the 8th inning. You're in a 1-run or a tie ball game, maybe behind by 1. And all of a sudden you have to turn it up and refocus. And that's tough to do. Francisco has not missed down in the strike zone on 1 pitch. Everything has either been a swing and contact, swing and miss, a ball, nothing down low. And that's a belt high fastball right there, right down Broadway.
Derek Robinson is standing in the on-deck circle. Robinson got the start against the Pirates for the injured Choo in center field on Saturday night.
He went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts in that game.
Dusty Baker gave Billy Hamilton a chance in that position yesterday, and my oh my.
Every time, well, it's only been twice.
And there's a base hit into right field. Well, with 2 outs in the inning, do you run Billy Hamilton here in the 8th with 2 away?
I don't think so.
Well, here he comes. I'm a little surprised too, but they're going to send him out there as Hannigan gets a base hit. First Wednesday, 4 steals in 1 game when he got the start down in Houston. Just had an unbelievable night, and Hamilton is already a perfect 12 for 12 in stolen base attempts since being brought up from AAA Louisville. Yesterday he added 2 more. Again, getting another start. But he has been absolutely amazing to watch since he came from the minor leagues. And of course, that's on the heels after hearing everything we've heard about him. I'm not counting spring training. We saw him in spring training, but spring training. You know, this guy, 156 stolen bases in the minor leagues, an all-time professional record. There he goes. And they pitch out, and the pitcher threw the ball down the middle of the plate.
That ball hit home plate umpire Tony Randazzo directly in the chest protector as Darno went out to catch the ball. Watch where this ball goes. Back towards the umpire. It ricocheted off the glove of Darno. He barely even got the glove to it, and it smoked Tony Randazzo, the home plate umpire.
This Hamilton is unbelievable.
He is unstoppable.
It's amazing. I mean, he comes in a game, everybody knows what he's doing there. There's no secret here. he may as well hold up a sign that says, I'm not waiting to the second pitch. I'm not waiting to the third pitch.
I'm stealing. And you can't do anything about it.
Well, now Heisey set up there to pinch hit. That's a go-ahead run. Hamilton in scoring position with 2 away here in the 8th inning. Threw a fastball right by Heisey, and it's 1-1.
We saw Hamilton steal third base against the Pirates. He gets actually a better jump at second going to third than he does at first.
Well, nobody holding you on out there. You get a little movement going towards third.
Races.
Bottom fell out of that one. 1-2. Well, you know, you and I don't make up the playoff roster, and of course the Reds haven't officially clinched that playoff roster yet. But I tell you what, there may be a mutiny in this town if that guy right there is not on the playoff roster, because he is a legitimate weapon for this team.
He is a game changer. He has already established that fact. The other situation too, Tom, is the other teams out there don't know enough about Billy Hamilton right now to find any secret, number one, on how to throw him out, number two, on how to get him out. He's a switch hitter. You're not just going to bring in a lefty specialist or a righty specialist. He can bunt from both sides of the plate, and either side, third or first base.
2-2. Now, of course, a question, or at least a comment somebody might answer to that would say, well, you know, where are you going to play him? I mean, if you play him at all. Well, the same could be said for any other backup outfielder. Now, some of the other backup outfielders have played the corner outfield position. Hamilton has played nothing but center, and you haven't asked Choo to play a corner outfield spot. 3-2 on Heisey. Struck him out. We go to the 9th inning. The Reds and the Mets are tied at 2. Go to the 5th inning. Oh, hum for Brandon Phillips, throwing out Eric Young.
You know, your hitting can go in a slump, and you can have a tough time with the bat at certain points in time. But a guy like Brandon Phillips with his glove, there is no slump on his defense. He brings that to the park every day. And on plays like that, they will beat you.
Devin Mesoraco going to stay in the game after Billy Hamilton pinch ran for Ryan Hannigan. And the Reds are not going to fool around, at least in the top of the 9th inning. They're going to bring on their closer, Aroldis Chapman, in this 2-2 game.
Well, there is no save now, and you've got to use Chapman in this kind of spot. And you give him a chance, really, if the Reds aren't able to score in the 9th. If he can go through this inning without issue, there's a chance he could pitch a second inning.
Reds in a situation as it's swinging and a miss by Andrew Brown, where they will have a 3rd straight week where they actually have an off day. Each of the last 2 Thursdays they've been off, and they will be off, weather permitting, this Thursday before the Pirates come to town Friday. 0-2. Speaking of the Pirates, they scored in the 1st inning against Jeff Samardzija. They are batting in the 8th inning still with that 1-0 lead over the Cubs. And the Cardinals, after falling behind 2-0 with a 4-2 lead, top of the 6th inning at home over the Nationals. Gone swinging. Brown to begin the 9th.
Talked about that Thursday off, Tom, and the way it has happened here now 3 times in a row for the Reds. It's created an option for Dusty Baker and pitching coach Brian Price as far as the rotation. You add Johnny Cueto into the mix, even though you've had to take out Tony Cingrani because of his back. But there are a lot of options for this weekend, especially after the game Cueto pitched here tonight.
0-2 on Lagares. Reds in the bottom of the 9th inning have a top of the order coming up. They have Choo, they have Phillips, they have Votto.
Rocco wanting the fastball up, but wanting it over the plate. Those two missed up and away, and Lagares not quite tempted.
Two and two to count. Foul out of play. It'll stay right there. Cubs are coming to bat in the bottom of the 8th inning. Of course, after bringing in Jason Grilli on Saturday night, the Pirate manager, Clint Hurdle, saying that Grilli is back in that role the rest of the way. So the Pirates, with a 1-0 lead, have Melanson back in the role he was so good in most of this year before Grilli was injured, and that's his setup man. He's on the pitch for the Pirates in the 8th inning. There's strike 3 called at 100-mile-per-hour fastball.
Fastball right in the perfect spot, right on the edge of the plate. Rocco did an awfully good job of catching that ball, and the way that he received it really gave the home plate umpire Randazzo a false look at the ball, but that's what you're supposed to do as a catcher. You're supposed to make that pitch look as good as you possibly can.
Darno now the batter. First pitch swinging, dumps it foul and out of play. Chapman ahead at 0-2.
It's quite a healthy hack for the youngster Darno. He was backlegging it. I don't see too many batters backlegging Aroldis Chapman unless they're backlegging it back to the dugout.
0-2. And another pretty good cut right there. A 100-mile-per-hour fastball from Aroldis Chapman.
Think about how long it takes you to blink. Well, that's how long it takes from the ball to release from the hand of Chapman and hit the mitt.
I'm not sure if television gives you an appreciation for how big and physically strong and imposing Chapman is.
Yes.
This is not some skinny guy.
He's a big fella.
This is a powerfully built young man. Broad shoulders, big in the trunk,
and cut up
big time.
There's no body fat on this guy, and he runs like a deer.
2-2 to count. And give Darno credit, he's hanging in there. Two balls and 2 strikes, 2 outs and nobody on. Kevin having a hard time getting on the same page as Mesoraco. What they want to do 2-2.
Mesoraco put down fastball twice, and Chapman evidently wants the breaking ball. Now Chappie's getting a little frustrated.
He fans aside in the top of the ninth. Choo, Phillips, Votto. The Reds with a chance to win it in the bottom of the ninth. Two-two game. Reds and the Mets in the opener of this 3-game series. And coming on from the New York bullpen is left-hander Tim Burdack. You may remember he was the guy that gave up the home run to Jay Bruce going back to 2010 while Burdack was pitching for the Houston Astros. I'm sure Jay is reminded of that down in the dugout. That clinched the NL Central Division Championship for the Reds. We knew it soon as it left the bat. And the celebration was on. Reds knew they were going to the postseason for the first time since 1995. They had the one-game playoff, of course, in '99, but that made it official. All right, here we go. Choo to lead things off. Strike one. The Cubs have just tied the Pirates. Pardon me, Cowboy. 1-1 game. Cubs batting in the bottom of the 8th inning. That ball drilled into right center field. And that's going to go to the wall, and the defender falls down. And Choo is not going to take a chance. He's going to stop right there.
Choo has come up big in both times that the Reds have needed it. The RBI single back in the second. Now to lead off things here in the ninth. A big double off the left-hander Burdack. And that'll be the only batter that Burdack faces.
Terry Collins going to come out and make the change. Now the question is, do the Reds ask Brandon Phillips here? Probably safe to assume. We've seen Dusty Baker do it time after time after time, and that's to try and bunt the runner over. They're going to bring on David Aardsma from the line. Brought to you by Kings Honda in the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. Jim Day, Jeff Pecoro standing by. And of course, hoping to celebrate from the Fox Sports Ohio condominium a Reds win. And now it's David Aardsma from the bullpen.
Aardsma has given up 14 earned runs in his last 20 outings. That's 14 earned runs in 16 and a third innings pitch. But he's stranded all 18 inherited runners that he's had this year. That's the most in the big leagues without a run scoring that he's inherited.
Brandon Phillips has 4 sacrifices on the season. Pulls the bat away. Choo breaks for third and will get there easily.
Boy, he absolutely decoyed the youngster Travis d'Arnaud. You give a fake break off of second. If the catcher comes up throwing, then you just take off to third. There's nothing you can do about it. The throws are too long between. Willie McGee used to do that all the time, and Choo just traps Dave.
That's his second stolen base tonight, his 20th of the year. And now Brandon goes from being asked to bunt, now asked to swing away and put it to an end. Infield in, outfield in. Smothered in the dirt by Darno. Choo leads off this ninth inning with a double. Steals third. And now Brandon Phillips. Number 1 in the National League in go-ahead run batted in. Late inning. Go-ahead runs batted in. And a chance here to give the Reds an opening game win. One and two on Brandon Phillips. That was ball 2.
How about the collective groan from the crowd as he swung through that pitch? Everybody looking to cheer, and then the oh. Make him happy.
This is not going to do it. 1 out. Phillips unable to get the job done. And here comes Joey Votto. And you got to believe they're going to walk Votto and take their chances with Ludwig.
Why not?
Set up a double play.
They've done it all night anyway.
Catcher not even going to squat down. You can see this coming from a mile away. Votto knows it. There's no way they're pitching to him. This will be the 5th time Votto has walked. Each of his 5 plate appearances tonight, he has walked. He had never walked 4 times in a game. And now for the first time he walks for a 5th time.
Looked like Brandon got a little overzealous in that at bat. Chased a high fastball and chased a breaking ball out of the strike zone, and ultimately it cost him an out.
Well, if there's
it doesn't cost the Reds a run.
If there's one guy who has had chance after chance tonight, it is Ryan Ludwig. He batted in the 1st inning with runners at 1st and 2nd and 1 out. He flied to right. He batted with the bases loaded in the 2nd inning and tapped out to the catcher. He came to the plate with 2 on and 2 out in the 4th inning. Popped up to the 2nd baseman. A 4th at bat tonight, he came to the plate with a man aboard and popped up to short left field. But you can forget all about those first 4 at bats if you can knock in the game winner in your 5th.
You got that right. Well, the big key for Ludwig here will be to stay with the game plan he had in Pittsburgh. Up the middle, right center field. That keeps that front shoulder closed and allows him to stay on the baseball. Aardsma has a good fastball, but that slider goes straight down. That's what he got Phillips with. And you have to lay off the high fastball here. Even though a fly ball will get the run in, the high fastball is a pop-up in the infield.
On the corners, winning run is at 3rd base. And it's rolled foul up the 3rd base line, and Ludwig behind at 0-1. Cardinals leading 4-2 that game in the 7th. Pirates and the Cubs are tied in the 9th at 1. We're tied in the 9th here in Cincinnati at 2. Winning run at 3rd. 1 out for Ludwig. And Votto unable to advance, and he smacks himself in the leg over there, realizing that's probably a ball where he should be standing at 2nd base. That ball was in the dirt, and then it bounced up off of Ryan Ludwig, and maybe Joey didn't see it.
Votto got caught in between. As the pitch came playward, he was going back to first base. Think aggressively on the base pass. Don't think negatively. Don't think about getting thrown out. Be aggressive, be smart, be aware.
On the corners, 1 out. Choo the winning run at third here in the bottom of the ninth. 2-1 on Ludwig. Ball 3.
Quick pitched him there. Boy, Ardsma barely even got set for a count. That was awfully close to a ball.
This is not going to bring in the run. 2 are out in the inning. Choo is at third with nobody out. Phillips can't get it done. Ludwig again unable to get it done. And now with 2 away, it's up to Jay Bruce.
Well, Jay's road trip was phenomenal. 14 RBIs on the trip. He does not have a hit today. And I don't know that they're going to give him a chance to drive in the run here. They will not. How about this? They're going to walk the bases loaded to face Todd Frazier.
You know what, Cowboy, at the end of the day, I mean, why would you pitch to a guy with 107 runs batted in? Why would you?
No chance.
I mean, it's not like it's an insult to Todd Frazier. I mean, this is just one of the leading run producers in the league. Why would 2 outs after all you've been through to get where you are you going to let him beat you?
Because Joey Votto standing at second base means nothing. It's all about the run at third base. Now you have a force at every base. You've got an ideal matchup, righty on righty, and you've got a hitter at the plate that doesn't quite have the prowess of the man that was just standing there.
The inning began by Choo with a double in the right center field. He stole third. They got Phillips to bounce out on a broken bat roller to short. They intentionally walked Votto. Ludwig on a pop-up for out number 2. A walk to Bruce. And now with a winning run at third with 2 out, it's Todd Frazier.
Frazier's been swinging the bat very well lately. Be a big RBI if he can pull this off here. You may see that pitch again.
0-1 on Frazier. And Ardsma to the plate. Way outside with a fastball. Frazier ended one of those thrillers in the 3-game sweep over the Dodgers that first week of September with a base hit. Would like to do the same thing right here and right now on this 23rd of September. Check swing, hit his bat, out of play. Frazier down 1-2. Boy, Ardsma walks into the game with a runner at third and nobody out. And he is now a pitch away from stranding that runner at third and sending us into extra innings. Frazier with a different plan. Emergency hack. We saw that his last time up.
Well, if you're Ardsma here, you're either going to really drive the breaking ball down and away, or you're going to run that fastball back in on his hands. If the hitter waits that long, you bust his bat.
We're on our way to the 10th inning, boys and girls. The Reds had a runner at third with nobody out. He's left at third. 2-2, end of 9. Wild side. Well, the wild bottom of the 9th. A scoreless bottom of the 9th. Reds had a runner at third, nobody out. And here we are in the 10th. Derek Robinson comes into the game. He'll play for Ludwig. And now on the mound, left-hander Manny Parra.
Parra put together a heck of a year. You look at those numbers, but the numbers since coming back off the disabled list way early in the season after having a left pectoral injury. Went down on rehab, came back. Last 42 appearances beginning on June 11th, a 1.93 ERA. He had scoreless streaks of 19 games, and it was 15 1/3 innings during that time, and 17 appearances, retiring 42 of 48 at another time.
The Mets are going to go to their bench. Josh Shatton will back. Pitcher spot next. And right now they have Zach Lutz, a right-handed batter, standing in the on-deck circle for Ardsma. What an unbelievable job Ardsma did.
Very tough pill to swallow when you have a chance to win the ball game. Nobody out, runner at third base. In the heart of your order at the plate, and you still can't get them in. But that's over and done with. You got to forget about it. Now you got to concentrate on right now, because all of these games very important.
And it's interesting, no sooner did the Reds fail to score as that one is blistered to center. That'll fall in front of Choo, a base hit. No sooner did the Reds fail to score, the Pirates did score after the Cubs tied the game in the bottom half of the 8th inning at Wrigley Field. The Pirates take a 2-1 lead in the top half of the 9th inning. Starling Marte with a home run.
Crazy part about these ball games here with the Mets, they're just as important as the final 3 with the Pirates.
Yep.
If you don't win here, it takes a whole lot of luster off the weekend.
Starling Marte's home run came against Kevin Gregg. Gregg has been a nice bounce back story this year for the Cubs, but man, did he melt down the other night. Got charged with, what, 5 runs in an inning, and then blows his gasket about, not being the closer with the team anymore. And man, it is always something there in Chicago. Here's Tovar. The ball bunted foul as he's asked to put down a sacrifice to try and advance a runner.
Yeah, I think Lutz was there in case Satin didn't reach, but with a runner at first base, you bring Tovar to the plate specifically because he can bunt.
What a major league debut it was yesterday for Wilfredo Tovar. He had 2 hits and an RBI in his first major league game. Got the start against Philadelphia. They brought him all the way up from Double-A. And he puts down the bunt. Parra had a shot at second base and really never looked there.
There was never a call that did not appear from anyone on the bunt. And you have to be thinking too as you get to the ball, and you can see there, if you're thinking too, you've got a perfect shot, and it was not going to be bang bang. But if you're not thinking that way, you can't do it.
Well, Tovar gets a bunt down, and now back to the top of the order we go in Young. Young is a switch hitter. And he bats for the first time from the right side of the plate here tonight. Line drive caught. Double play will end the inning. Reds will have Cozart leading things off. Bottom of the 10th inning in a 2-2 game. Wrong with that. Mets are 8 up, 10 down. Of course, I'm sure a few of the Reds are kicking themselves in that dugout that we're even playing extra innings right now after you had a runner at third and nobody out with a chance to win it in the bottom of the ninth. But here we are in the bottom of the 10th inning, and a new pitcher comes on for the New York Mets.
You know, following what you just mentioned, Tom, you have Greg Burke coming on, and another bullpen pitcher for the Mets that has just been getting hammered lately. He's allowed 10 runs in his last 5 games, 5 2/3 innings. Talked about Ardsma with 14 earned runs in his last 20 ball games. But yet the Reds have not been able to dent the plate. It has been a very slow offensive night for the Reds. Only 1 inning in which they were able to score and still left the bases loaded in that inning. Here's Wilfredo Tovar will stay in and play shortstop. And the double switch move. Quintanilla out of the ball game.
And Cozart to lead it off in the Reds' bottom of the 10th. Frisbee-like breaking ball off the outside corner. Strike 1. Devin Mesoraco on deck, and then it'll be the left fielder Derek Robinson. Strike 2.
It appears that Aaron Harang has put the Reds bats to sleep here tonight. They're going to have to wake them up if they hope to win this ball game.
They had 1 hit in the first inning. They had 3 hits in the second inning. They've had 3 hits total since, and we're in the 10th. Singles by Cueto and Hannigan, and then that double by Choo, which led off the bottom of the ninth.
Cozart has seen all the pitches that he needs to see from Burke. He's seen the fastball, the changeup, and the slider.
Fouled off and hang in there. Still 1-2 on Cozart. Thought about it, lays off of it. Three and 2 now on Cozart.
Wow, Greg Burke got ahead, painting with 2 fastballs down and away. he's messed around and gotten to a 3-2 count. Maybe Cozart can put the bat head to him.
And a tapper down at third. David Wright's got it. In the dirt, picked out of there over at first by Duda, one away.
This ball didn't come out of the hand of David Wright very well, because Cozart was pretty close to being safe if he hadn't have fallen coming out of the batter's box.
Now the batter, Devin Mesoraco, batting for the first time tonight.
These are the toughest kinds of ball games late in the season. You're playing the Mets. They have nothing to gain. It's a game that you're supposed to win if you're the Reds. Now here you are in extra innings. Yes, you're tired, but you have to fight for it. This is where you have to reach down inside and figure out a way to focus, figure out a way to get the job done. You hear it all the time, Tom, talking about the mental edge of the game and how much, you know, some people say 90%, 98% at this level is mental. That's because at this time of the ball game, it's late, you're tired. It almost feels as though you're just going through the motions, swinging the bat, throwing the pitch. You have to turn it up somehow, some way, emotionally. Where your leadership from your team comes in, where your group unity, you just have to figure out a way to get it done.
Off the glove of a diving right, and a throw to first, not going to be in time. That'll be a base hit by Mesoraco. Of course, he had the extraordinary in bat, almost the exact same location in the ninth inning on Friday against the Pirates. That had so much topspin on it. Or maybe it knuckled out there, but that ball just nosedived as Wright had his mitt up around the belt. The next thing you know, it wound up down around his ankles.
That ball was scalded. But even with that, you could really see the hustle from Mesoraco down the line, taking nothing for granted.
Now Derek Robinson bats for the first time in a game. And a high bouncer down the right field line will send Mesoraco to third. And now the Reds once more have the winning run at third with one out.
Hit that ball in the hard part in front of home plate, and that baby took a major hop over the head of Duda. Sinker ball pitcher, yeah, you want a ground ball, but that baby took a major hop with Duda playing in. He was holding on the runner Mesoraco. He broke off the bag, and it goes right over the top of him.
All righty, so now Mr. Choo with a chance to win this thing. I don't believe, yes they do. They have one more left-hander down there. They've used Feliciano, they've used Burdock, and they have Sean Henn. They're left-handed in their bullpen.
And Henn will be coming on.
We learned the Pirates have just finished off the Cubs. A 2-1 Pirates win tonight in Chicago. The Reds are trying to answer here in the bottom of the 10th. No.
Sean Henn in the ball game. 1-2. Buckle your chew. 8, 9, 10. A loss for that man, Sean Henn.
Very nice. We were the warm-up act for that in between innings.
Uncle, you're Choo. 8, 9, 10, a loss for him. Here we go.
Mesoraco, 1-out single, went to third on a single off the bat of Derek Robinson, and now for the second straight inning, the Reds can win it. They had a runner at third, none out in the 9th inning, did not score. And now a runner at third with 1 out in the 10th, and Shin-Son Choo waiting on the pitch. Way outside for ball 1. Reds trying to keep pace with the Pirates, who've won already tonight. And this is going to do it as Choo lifts a fly ball into left center field. Game over.
That almost got out of here.
Reds win. Reds win. Final count of 3-2 here tonight. And naturally, this will be our Nissan drive of the game. Shin-Son Choo making sure there would be no repeat of the 9th inning. 1-2, celebrate with Choo. 8, 9, 10, a loss for Mr. Hen, and that's all she wrote. So the Pirates have won. The Washington Nationals have just scored a run in the top of the 8th inning, but they leave the tying run at second base. And the Cardinals are now batting in the bottom of the 8th inning. What a spectacular job turned in tonight by the Reds bullpen. LeCure, Marshall comes in to get a big double play. Chapman fans aside. Parra allows a hit. He gets a win. And the Reds win the opener of this series and pick up their 90th victory of the year, 3-2-10. Time now for Reds Live. Let's send it downstairs to Jim Day.